Welcome to the Inspired Action Podcast. This is where we have motivational, inspiring conversations and interviews that we hope you'll enjoy listening to.
Join us and other inspired actioneers on this alchemical, transformational journey.
Welcome back to the Inspired Action Podcast. I'm Jay. This is our 100th episode, the start of season 6 of the Inspired Action Podcast. I'm here with my co-host, as always, Lita Herman. We did a little applause there for you, Lita. Wow, can you believe it?
I can't believe it, 100.
You can't believe it? I can believe it.
I can believe it. You know why? Because
Why?
we love doing this podcast. We
Wow.
love recording them, and we really love hearing from all the listeners all over the world. And that's really the coolest part.
Yeah, it is kind of fun to connect with people. We've had so many people reaching out lately who are really digging the podcast. It makes us want to do this season 6 of the Inspired Action Podcast. So we took all that feedback all over the, Lita, 4 years.
Oh my gosh.
4 years.
Oh my gosh.
Boy, it's been a wonderful journey. And so we took all that information, all that feedback, and we really have listened to you instead of you listened to us. We've listened to you. More alchemy, 4 or 5 elements, more fun. Can we even have more fun?
I don't know.
I don't think so.
know.
It might be dangerous.
Well, we do plan to deliver this season. We've got a great lineup for this season and some new surprises coming up.
We will try to deliver some great content to your ears. Think of this podcast as the Alchemy DoorDash of podcasts. We will deliver within 1 hour, no matter where you live in the world.
That's pretty good.
Right? What do you want to talk about today, Lita? Ready? Let's go. Clock is ticking. Tick, 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 tick.
Okay. So the theme of season 6 is the heart, and particularly what we love to call the magic of the heart.
That's right. I'm moving my heart out onto my sleeve right now. Open, ready to go. Let's start the DoorDash of
That's so great.
podcast.
That's so great that you're wearing your heart on your shirt
Yes,
sleeve.
I am.
So, the magic of the heart is just a great place to go next in this podcast. It has to do with where we left off in season 5 in the 9 stages of alchemy. We left off with a series of episodes about the what do you really want question and how that relates to your 5 elements. And now we're going to continue that topic, but just go a little deeper about the heart itself.
Because it's the next step in stage 1 of alchemy. It's called aligning your heart with what you really want, right?
Yes.
Right? So we're really going to explore the heart and how to create that heart magic, as we like to say. But Lita, wait, can you explain the concept of the magic of the heart to anyone out there who is waiting for that delivery, whoosh, that fast podcast,
That DoorDash?
The DoorDash, the amazing information. You don't even have to tip us, by the way. I mean, no, we don't.
That would be nice.
No. I'm not sure we can say DoorDash because they're not a sponsor.
Oh,
And
true.
I don't even think we don't even have DoorDash around here. We have like Uber Eats. So maybe we're like the Uber Eats of podcasts.
There you
I don't know. In bite-sized chunks. But okay. If you could think of something better, I don't know. Maybe the inspired action delivery. How about that?
There you go.
Okay, so all right. So we've got that down. The inspired action DoorDash Uber Eats kind of delivery podcast of this information. So can you explain the concept of the magic of the heart to anyone who wants to hear this inspired action version?
I can try to explain this concept about the void of the heart. So we've talked about this before on the podcast, and the concept is that there's a space inside your heart where the blood flows through. And this actually is the secret of all healing. Because in Chinese medicine, we believe a person's spirit lives in that space inside the heart where the blood flows through. So a healer has to be able to access the void of a person's heart in order to create the magic of all healing. And Stephen Buhner has an amazing book on this topic called The Secret Teachings of Plants, where he talks about heart entrainment. And it's this idea that we can, from inside our hearts, match someone else's heart vibrations. And from there, that's where the magic of healing can happen.
And I know you tell us about the book. It's the second part of the book that you really love. Yeah.
Yes.
So
that's the part about heart entrainment.
Right.
Yeah.
So, all right, keep going. You're on a roll.
All right. Well, you can think of it like this. If I'm vibrating at a particular frequency, let's say a healthy frequency, and you come into the clinic vibrating at a different frequency, let's say a frequency of illness, if I can evoke my heart magic, then your heart can begin to entrain to mine, and then you begin down the path of healing. I know that's a pretty simplistic way of describing what happens, but it's an easy way to start to understand it.
So you have to train to entrain to untrain.
Yes.
Just get on the train.
Yes.
Right.
Just get on the magic heart train.
Don't you think it's truly not meant to be understood? Because I always like to think the heart is not like the mind. We're trying to understand it on a logical mind level, but the mind wants to understand like every single thing. And the heart just is meant to be mysterious. And it truly operates out of that kind of mysterious
Yes.
behind the veil. I don't know, whatever, but
Yes.
like that secret.
Yes. And actually, think about it. If we could understand the heart, then it wouldn't be magic.
Correct.
And it wouldn't create the healing miracles that happen all the time everywhere around us.
Yeah. And, Lita, I love it when you teach practitioners, like all the time, how to access the void of the heart, for healing and for their own self-cultivation. But what about listeners who are maybe new to this, they're not practitioners, and maybe they really are resonating with this to seek their own healing? What about for them on this journey? What if they listen to this podcast and they're like, yeah, this sounds really cool. How can they start the journey to access the void of their own heart?
Yes, that is what we're really going to address and talk about in this season 6. What is the magic of the heart? And is it for everyone, not just for healers? And the answer is yes, because this podcast isn't just for healers. And certainly all the healers who are listening are always wanting their own health and well-being to be improved. So it's great for everyone.
Yes, I would agree 100%. And I even think it's super, super important for healers that are already doing the work to, maybe just take another look, see where they're at, see if they're in a good space. Yeah.
Yes, because as healers, if you're like me and actually got interested in medicine because you're seeking your own healing, I started my journey when I had a mysterious pain that Western medicine couldn't heal.
Yeah, me too. I mean, I imagine just about everyone out there, including the healers, have done the same in some shape or form or journey. That's your path. That's your travel.
Totally,
you're traveling.
Totally.
But wait. Don't say
Okay.
another word. That's me screeching brakes. Before we continue and get to the really good stuff, that was really good, by the way. Let's just update everyone on what's going on with the Inspired Action podcast and the Alchemy Learning Center, because we've been away for a little bit, taking our little vacay break from the podcast, and we have been crazy, crazy, crazy busy. So, Lita, I'm going to let you start, but I have a list too. So you go first.
That's a great idea. So we are so jazzed about starting season 6 because we just finished our first post-COVID-ish live in person.
I like that, post-COVID-ish.
Yeah. Awaken Your Alchemy retreat in Massachusetts. And the retreat's theme was also all about the heart. So we're just really revved up about this topic.
I'm really excited about this topic for sure. So it's perfect timing. And at that retreat, which we just had in the beautiful state of Massachusetts, we had some amazing exercises. We had people come from all over the country, by the way. It was fantastic. And we did a lot of exercise, and we helped them stretch and pull and go deep and get in touch with their hearts. And one of the attendees said it was like going to the heart gym. And I think that was really funny. And I like to think we did some cardio inside the void of the heart. How about that?
I love how you describe it because you made it sound so like wood, like we really we exercised.
We did that. We went into the void and we did those exercises. Yes.
So this season, we're going to highlight some of that work that we did at the retreat. And also, what Jay and I learned from doing that work with everyone else at the retreat.
It was just so transformational and educational for us, as well as for everyone who attended. We think so. They've kind of given us a little feedback, and I think it was really cool. So now we will continue to extend this feeling out to everyone in the world and to anyone who happens to be listening to this podcast. We just want to keep spreading it out there.
Yeah. And we like to think that you, our listeners, and those who came to the retreat, you're also teaching us. It goes both ways. Every time you show up 100% authentically being you, then you teach us what it's like to be you and your unique nature. And that helps us to help others who are like you to feel free and love themselves enough so they can show up 100% as themselves. And so we all learn from each other.
It's like one big love circle of the heart.
Yes.
And I can say for me, the retreat was fun and inspiring, incredibly deep dive into all of this material. And we are planning another one in February 2023 on the west coast of the U.S. So stay tuned if that's an easier location for you to travel. And you can go to the website and there's a little thing you can apply and all that stuff. So just keep an ear out and we'll keep you, or an eye for your email if you're on the list. And so that was a lot of fun. I'm glad we talked about that right away. So what else is going on? Because we've got a hopping little site there.
Well, we also just launched our latest cohort of our apprenticeship program. And that program is really picking up steam with 3 groups running simultaneously. And they all got to meet each other at the retreat and share and connect and transform together. So that was really cool.
So if you're a healer or acupuncturist or just resonating with this work, go check it out on our website. It's under the MAP, Master Alchemy Program Apprenticeship. We have a couple of versions of that. And our next group will be starting in the fall of 2023. And we were full this year, so we already have people on the list for next year. I just recommend going to the site, alchemylearningcenter.com, and, get on the wait list if you want. And it's been going for 4 years now. It's growing. It's transforming. It's just really fun to be a part of.
And we also want to let everyone know that this summer we launched our first ever audiobook on Audible and iTunes. So if you haven't checked that out yet, go ahead and check out the book Through the Mystery
What?
Gate.
We have a book?
We have a book.
We have a book.
A book.
No, we have 4 books.
4 books, right.
Yes, we'll just keep on booking along there. So yes.
Booking along.
I'm not even going to say that we have another book coming out soon, but we do. But I'm not even going to say that because then they'll be like, what? But yes, hopefully 2023, first part, we'll be done with our new book. But I'm just going to say we have 4 books right now.
Yes.
But it's really 5, but 4.
And in terms of the Alchemy Learning Center, we have a lot of new online classes there that you can sign up for, especially a new 5 Elements and 9 Palaces series. So you can go ahead and check that out if you are so inspired.
Yes, and that's just a quick little report. There's so much going on. But I just can't wait later. Let's get back to the topic of the magic of the heart.
Yes. Let's talk about the heart specifically and how each of you can have better access to your own heart.
And that depends on the state of your heart. Some of us are blessed to have very little struggle in life or, not too many challenges, even though we all have challenges. And if that's the case, then it's likely that their hearts or your hearts are open and free. But, many of us have had a few more difficulties or challenges in childhood or even trauma in adulthood, trauma both ways, adult and child. And these struggles can cause heart pains, in some case, serious heart pains.
Yeah. So going back to that idea of the heart having that empty space inside it where the blood flows through, you can think of the heart like a cave with a big room inside. And the question is that room like one of those open, airy rooms where you can really breathe and there's lots of, light and movement of air.
Sunshine.
Yeah. Or is it one of these really cluttered rooms full of dusty old furniture that you can barely walk into it?
All those dusty old couches and dusty lazy boys or lazy girls, lazy girl chairs, right? They're just old heart pains. They weigh you down and yet still you carry them around with you. In fact, in many cases, you don't want to let them go because you're still mad or upset or confused. And if you actually let them go, or heaven forbid, you actually forget about them, then you think maybe that would let that person off the hook or exonerate them because they caused the pain. And I don't know, it's just something like that.
It's like maybe you're afraid if you forget, then the trauma could happen again.
Right.
And of course, if you're not on guard, then it could happen when you least expect it.
And we're not saying this is logical or,
right.
In any based of reality. It's just the story that you're telling yourself sometimes. All of us tell these stories.
Yeah. So for whatever reason, you hang on to these old couches and lazy boys and lazy girls. And when they really need to go to Goodwill or Salvation Army or someplace like that, so someone else could actually maybe turn them into something useful.
We could Marie Kondo the whole space there. Just let it go. Clean. Get it out.
Yeah.
Do a makeover of your space.
Yes. Yeah. Of your heart. Do a makeover.
Right.
That's a great idea.
Does it bring you joy? No. Out. Give your joy? Yes. In.
So if you've been carrying around some of these heart pains, there's no reason to feel bad about that. It's common, so common that most people have them.
Yeah.
And these heart pains cause emotional blocks.
So if you've been carrying around some of these heart pains, there's no reason to feel bad or beat yourself up about it. That's common. It's common. It's so common that most people have them.
They at least have some heart pains.
Right.
And these heart pains can cause emotional blocks.
Yeah. And how can the heart truly embrace something exciting with passion and drive that we all want to have? Like when you're doing your alchemy, if the last time you let your passion out, if that's when the trauma occurred, you might have just shut it all down. You might have just stopped right there. Your mind could then equate your passion with pain, like you just said.
Yes. And so you can't live truly free. And trauma is the number one reason why that happens. And there's different degrees of hurt. Some people have short term issues related to their heart pains, and then their hearts recover pretty easily and they can just move on.
Yeah, and then some people have heart pains that hold them back for a long time. But for the most part, their hearts are still accessible to the people they trust and love and care about, and, partially to themselves.
Yeah. But in some cases, a person's heart is so hurt that they have pretty much wrapped it in emotional cellophane to protect it. And as a result, everything gets tamped down and dispassionate. And when the heart hurts that much, it blocks everything and it causes most people to not love themselves.
Yeah, and that cellophane is like a barrier.
Yeah.
You do have partial access, but you never quite have connection with your own heart. And that can, make it difficult to go down the road of alchemy or
Yeah.
some of the treatments that we talk about in this podcast. You just may have already have experienced this if you're asking yourself, what do I really want? Because that exercise really requires your heart and spirit to be involved in the answer. It's not just a, what do you really want for lunch?
Right. Right.
Okay, we've joked about that before, but it's like you really have to connect with your heart and your spirit to be able to answer that question. And that's what we're talking about.
Right. And since your spirit lives in that empty space in your heart, and so if you've blocked your heart with all those, old pieces of furniture, you really can't access the intuition and the knowing of the heart. And that's really what we're talking about.
And that's fine. There's no judgment. Remember, no right, no wrong, no good, no bad, no judgment. It is what it is. And it's better to know about it and understand and learn that there is something you can do about it than to not know and ignore it. But that's okay too. A lot of people live that way. Again, no judgment.
Right. If you think you have a heart block, or if you know you have a heart block, you can pause on your alchemy journey right now and take time to work on releasing your heart's pain, or what we fondly sometimes call the tentacles wrapped around your heart. These are like octopus tentacles that won't let go of your heart, and they require some work to unravel them like a ball of tangled yarn.
Or like an octopus holding a ball of tangled yarn.
There you
There's
go.
a visual for you, right?
There you go.
So unraveling it, ungrappling, right?
Yeah.
Unwrapping and maybe grappling and untangling these, heart entrapping tentacles takes more than just a few minutes. It just takes more time. It takes self-love, a vigilant mind. This self-love can be rejuvenated and reawakened by you, in you, and maybe even developed for the very first time.
Right. And you can work on it in many ways, and every person is different. So you need to find what's right for you. Some people work with trauma specialists to help.
Absolutely.
Or you can do your own deep self-inquiry. And you can also do alchemical treatments that we do for heart pains, what we like to call the heart pains treatment. And so for today, we can all work on our hearts, whether they are accessible or not. And that means to ask ourselves some questions about forgiveness.
So I think the first question is, and again, there's no first, second, third, but for me today, if I pick a first question, can you forgive those who have hurt you? Forgive those who have caused this trauma.
Yeah, many people with trauma will emphatically say, no way, I cannot forgive them. That might condone their actions, or it might mean I'm now open to that person or someone like them to do it to me again.
Yeah, and the really tough thing about that is your lack of forgiveness only hurts you. You're the one carrying the burden of the pain with you. Forgiveness isn't about freeing them, it's about freeing you.
Oh, I love that. Can you say that again?
Yeah, forgiveness isn't about freeing them, it's about freeing you.
Yes. And then the other question to ask yourself is, can you forgive yourself? This question often goes hand in hand with the other one because, you might think it's all about forgiving the perpetrator, but often you might be really mad at yourself for getting you into the predicament of getting hurt in the first place.
Yeah, that is a big obstacle for a lot of people. But once they start doing this work, that goes by the wayside relatively quickly early on if you're doing this work. So I guess, Lita, the next real question is, can you rectify or rewrite the story of your past if you're on this journey?
Yes. So a lot of the work we're doing here is helping people, reclaim their stories, rewrite them in a positive way, use them for a positive, way of moving forward. So the answer to this big question, we're going to ask you to tune into our next podcast.
Okay, that was funny.
We're going to explore different ways. Actually, this whole season is partially going to be about this topic and a few other topics about the heart. But one of the big things is, how can we promote that forgiveness? How can we remove those tentacles?
Do you even want to?
Yeah. So, some
people are like, no, I just like this podcast. I don't need to do anything. That's cool too.
Right. And I guess another question, we have lots of questions. Better questions, right?
Better questions.
But our question to you today also is, do you want to? Do you want to rectify and rewrite that old story? Or are you very tied to it?
Yeah. So if you need to wait a little longer, that's cool. We're okay. You can start the journey anytime you want. But for me, Lita, after you say that, it makes me feel like everyone's on a journey and they're in a different place. So they just need to know, take a deep breath, exhale, and they are in the right place at the right time to start their alchemical transformation. And that's totally fine.
Yeah, absolutely. So many of us are just interested in this. Here's the thing. If this is like pushing your envelope a little bit, just even listening to this, it's okay. Like, it's okay if the goal for you is just to establish stability. And sometimes letting go of heart pains is too scary and it feels destabilizing. So if that's the case, then where you are in your trauma recovery might be you just need stability. And forgiveness doesn't really promote that at first. It's going to challenge you. So it's time maybe for you to recognize that maybe you were a victim of something, and identifying the pain is the first step. So if you've been kind of ignoring it altogether, that you even have a heart pain, maybe the first step isn't forgiveness, but it's even going further back and just saying, wow, this really happened to me. And just allowing yourself to recognize that maybe you were a victim, and giving yourself a lot of loving kindness in that space is what needs to happen next. So it's not yet time for forgiveness. And it's really important. We want to stress that some of you might be coming to terms with the fact that you even had trauma.
Right. So I think, Lita, that's a perfect place, because let's talk more about this idea of forgiveness. And then we can kind of talk about removing those tentacles that may have been trapped in our hearts.
Yeah.
I think that's, let's think about that. And we'll go into that a little bit more next time for sure.
Yes. And it may take a little time and some effort to go deep, and that's okay. So when the time is right for you, with an open heart and self-love and a little kindness
and a little laughter, you can get to there, I promise.
Yeah. Just remember, you are perfect just the way you are right now.
So, Lita, I know we've, just this week they could start to be aware and be, looking at their lives and starting to feel like they want to do this. What's a little bit of homework? What can we give them today to start this journey?
A great place to start would be in the Alchemy Learning Center. We have stage 1 of Alchemy meditations, which is what we're doing right now on the podcast. And we're on the 3rd step, which is the aligning your heart with what you really want. And my question is it easy for you to do that meditation or not? And during this particular season, we're going to address the people who might find that difficult because they have some heart pains and they need to release those tentacles. So for homework, you can go try it out.
All right, Lita, that's fantastic. And I know when I did that meditation, or whenever I do that meditation, it might take a few times, and just be patient and know that you're perfect right where you are, and you will get that open heart. You may already have it now. Just be happy and let it beat and beat and beat. Until next time. Thank you. Bye. You've been listening to the Inspired Action Podcast, and you've reached the end. Woohoo! Why not celebrate a little bit and click that subscribe button right there? We love having you with us on this journey, and we want it to continue.
You can also rate and review this podcast. And if you have already, thank you so much. We read all reviews, and your reviews help other people find this podcast as well. You can also be a part of this podcast yourself by submitting a voice recording message and emailing it to us at lita@inspiredactionpodcast.com or jay@inspiredactionpodcast.com.
And if you want, you can join our Facebook group or follow us on Instagram.
Join us next week for another Inspired Action conversation. And thank you for listening.
Thanks for listening, and remember to hug the dog.